friends, so today I thought I would share some more experiences with you guys, in particular sexual harassment stories, because who doesn't want to hear those on a Thursday or whenever this is going up, I don't know. So I have 3 stories in particular, all happened at work. I worked at 2 different places, and the first one was actually at a restaurant. Now this story isn't necessarily a sexual harassment story, but it made me really uncomfortable, so I feel like to me it was. There was this one guy who came into the restaurant every day, or at least every day that I was working and the other girls were working. Now I was a bus girl at this restaurant, so really I didn't do much except clean tables, occasionally get drinks for people. That's about it. This guy is a regular at the restaurant. So he would come in, sit down at the bar, and he would actually wait for one of us to get him his teeth, because that's what he always got. And if one of the bus girls paid more attention to him, he would actually tip them at the end of the night. When I worked there, the way tip out worked was we would get tips at the end of the night from whatever the waitresses got, but this guy would actually hand you the money and tip you personally. So like as a bus girl, it's like, oh yeah, that's like extra cash, totally want that. I wasn't really into that. I didn't really buy into it. I didn't care if I served him for tips. I knew I was gonna get tips at the end of the night. It wasn't a big deal to me. He'd only give like 25 cents, maybe $1, depending on how much you paid attention to him. So one day I was going around and I was pouring coffee into empty cups, you know, people wanted some more coffee. And I had to go up to the bar, I think to grab some water for some people. I don't quite remember. He looks at me and he's like, "That hair color on you is gorgeous." Now this was when I had my bright red, like I was trying it out for the first time. It was super bright, super red, not this. And that was fine, like that was a compliment. I said thank you and I didn't really think anything of it. He would occasionally give off compliments, but this particular day, I don't know, it just seemed a little weird to me. And he started talking to me and he's like, you know, I think I know what would look perfect on you with that hair color. And he continuously tells me what clothes would look really good on me and what colors to wear and all this stuff. And he's not flamboyant. He's literally like a 45-year-old man. Like he was 40 to 50. It was fine. I felt a little uncomfortable. He was telling me things to wear and he said, oh, this would look good on you if you had your hair up, or if you wore this dress, if it was a little shorter, and all this stuff. Now at the restaurant we had to wear uniforms, so he didn't even really know what my body type was, because it wasn't tight uniforms or anything like that. And it just seemed a little weird to me that he was telling me what I should wear and what would look good on me for my specific body type and everything like that. I don't know, it was just weird to me. It made me feel uncomfortable and I feel like it was a little bit of sexual harassment. The next 2 stories both happened when I worked at a well-known retail store. My first sexual experience in that retail store was I had just started the job pretty much. And when you first start the job, you get, you know, a series of things to do in the store. So I was mainly a sales associate, helping with customer service, everything like that. One of the first few jobs you get is doing the change rooms and staying in that area so you can unlock the change room for people and make sure they bring out all their clothes, not stealing anything, etc. So I was doing the change room one night and it was maybe 8 p.m. We were about to close, I think, in an hour. These 2 gentlemen come into the men's section, and the men's section is right outside the change room section. And so whoever's in the change room has to clean the men's at the end of the night when it's not as busy. So these 2 gentlemen come into the men's section, both African American, which it does have a little relation to the story if you just 1 second. And so it was getting less and less busy, and I decided I was gonna go out into the men's section and start cleaning it while no one was in the change rooms. There was nothing to do in there. So I go out and these men just keep looking at me. They were staring at me a while when I was in the change room section, but now they're just looking at me, kind of smiling, giving that, you know, that look like, oh hey, you know. And my voice is a little all over the place right now, it's a little raspy. Anyway, I'm starting to clean this section of t-shirts and both of these gentlemen come over to me. And usually I would have gone to them and asked if they needed help, but I just seemed a little uncomfortable doing that because of the way they were staring at me, so I didn't. And that's why I didn't. They come over to me and I'm like, hello, can I help you with anything? Can I help you find anything? And they just start talking to me about myself. They're like, how long have you worked here? How old are you? Do you have a boyfriend? All these things. And I didn't answer them probably the way they wanted me to. I kind of passed off the questions. Then one of the guys was like, what's your heritage? And everything like that. So I'm like, oh, I'm Irish Welsh, you know, got some French in me, all of this stuff, right? I didn't really think anything of it, and I'm just kind of like, do you guys need any help? Do you want me to help find you anything? Because I wanted to clean this section, but they were just talking to me, which is okay, but I wanted to get my job done so I could go home. One of the guys turns to me and he's like, do you have any black in you? I'm like, kind of taken aback by the question, and I'm like, no, I don't think so. And he looks at me and he says, do you want some? Really? So here I am kind of dumbfounded and I'm like, did he really just imply that I should have sex with him or something like that? You know, like I'm just standing there and I was maybe 17, which is, you know, almost legal, but it was a little, I felt a little concerned because these guys they looked much older, like maybe 30s. And I was just standing there and I laughed nervously because that's what I do when I'm nervous. I just laugh and I'm like, no thanks. Do you guys need any help with anything else? Because I really need to get back to my job here, sorry. And they're like, well, if you ever think you want some black in you and all this stuff, just give us a holler, we'll be here till the end of your shift. And that kind of freaked me out because all of us stay an extra hour to clean the store, so were they gonna wait outside the store for me? That freaked me out a little bit. And not only that, these guys got that line from a Bring It On movie, which I found out a little later when I was watching the Bring It On movies. There was one, I don't remember which one it was, but that particular line that they used on me was in that movie. So these two guys got a line from a cheerleading movie. Okay, I won't judge, but that's just, it freaked me out. I felt a little sexually harassed. I felt uncomfortable and I just didn't want to be there at that time. I don't know. Girl, that was a little freaky. My next and final sexual harassment story, I was still working at this retail store. This was around the time when I had just started on the cash register. Seems like it's always when I just start doing things. So I go up to the cash register because the girls at the front needed some help. There was a little more people than they thought. So I go up and I go to my cash register. These two guys come over to me. Again, two guys, like, do they have to be with a friend in order to hit on a girl or something like that? Like, is that how that works or something? But they're both Caucasian, both white. They come up to the till, and one of the things we as representatives at that store have to say is ask them for their email in order to get promotions and coupons and stuff like that, because if not, if we don't get a particular amount of emails, then we kind of fail on the cash register, which I can completely get into a whole different video if you guys want to know my stance on that, because it is ridiculous. Anyway, these two guys come up and I start ringing their things through. So I say to them, I'm like, would you like to give your email for any coupons or promos? And one of the guys looks at me and he says, only if you give me your phone number first. That's not how this works. That's not what, no, that is not how this works. You just give me your email, I don't give you nothing of mine. Again, I laugh this off nervously and I'm like, no thanks. And he's like, well, I guess you can't have my email then. And I'm like, okay, which I kind of hated because I needed that email. Whatever. I look around to the other girl that's on the cash opposite from my manager, which is on the other side, and I just kind of look at her while I'm ringing these guys through and finishing their sale, and she looks at me and she's like, kind of like, what's wrong kind of face. And once these guys are done and I finish, they pay, whatever, they leave. The girl on my right, comes over and she's like, what did those guys just say to you? And I'm like, he asked me for my phone number when I asked him for his email. And she's like, really? He asked you for your phone number? And I'm like, yep. And she's like, what did you say? And I'm like, I said no, but I really wanted that email. And she's like, well, of course, we all kind of do, but whatever. So then we walk over to my manager and she's kind of just writing stuff down about the cash register or something. I don't quite remember. And we come over and we're still like, I'm still laughing nervously. The other girl is laughing because she's like, I can't believe that just happened. And she starts telling my manager the story and she's like, these guys just asked her for her phone number in order for her to get their email. And my manager's like, did you do it? And I'm like, no, why would I do that? And she's like, good, that's a little strange. I've never had that happen before. And I'm like, well, I just did, and it freaked me out. It made me really, really uncomfortable. That was, I don't know, like, I don't know. My boyfriend at the end of the night, he's like, you should have just given them my number, and they would have called me, and I could have totally told them off. I should have. Then I would have gotten that dang email. But that was my sexual harassment story. Do you guys think that was sexual harassment? I personally do. It made me really uncomfortable, and they were just hitting on me blatantly, just right then and there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any other suggestions or what do you want to hear from me, stories, unboxings, I don't know. Leave them in the comments below and I will for sure, possibly, maybe, make them for you. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.